Now it's Health Thursday. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Morning Café. Karibu tena. We want to talk about epilepsy awareness. Every year, the world marks Epilepsy Awareness Day on the second Monday of February. This year, it was on the 9th of February, of course, this week, this Monday. Now, about 1.5 million people in Kenya suffer from epilepsy, thereabout. And of course, I have my guests in studio, experts. They'll be telling us about the situation, how we are doing with regard to epilepsy. If you're doing enough, if you're talking about epilepsy enough as we should. There's a lot of myths and misconceptions around epilepsy as well, and we'll be talking about that. Just to hear from the horse's mouth, we have a patient as well who is also walking the shoes. Atuambie, how is it like living with epilepsy? And we're asking you this morning. We hear powerful stories from people living with epilepsy every day. Under the 2026 theme, turning stories into action. What one action should families, schools, employers, or government take right now to support them? That is to support people living with epilepsy. I have Fred Beuchi just right next to me. Fred is an epilepsy awareness ambassador. I have Sylvia Kadenyi, a patient. She's living with epilepsy. She'll be telling us more about this condition here. And of course, we have Nicholas Otieno, a clinician from KAWE. KAWE is the Kenya Association for People Living with Disability. We do welcome your feedback. TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 Digital. Talk to us. What do you think about epilepsy? What have you heard about epilepsy that maybe you'd want addressed this morning? Just clarity on, and everything in between. If you want to call in, there will be a number on your screen. We do welcome you to also call in live. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You all look great and ready for the show.
Yeah,
let's just start with you, Fred, now that you're just right next to me. Do you feel or think that we talk about epilepsy enough before even we get into the nitty-gritties about how, about what epilepsy is?
Epilepsy is all about. I think so far so good, because personally I've been in the journey of creating and raising awareness about epilepsy now for the last 13 years. Yes. So comparing it with the years then and now, whereby the day where we are supposed to mark International Epilepsy Day is so well recognizable, I think there is a lot that already has been done, and epilepsy is being, the conversation is being taken with a lot of importance with different people and different platforms. So yeah, I say I can affirm that a lot has been done so far. All
right, great.
Yes.
Nick, you're a clinician from KAWE. Just run us through, what is epilepsy? This is a neurological disorder. But sometimes we hear mtu akianguka, sometimes ni inaitwaje grind meno. People just associate that with epilepsy, definitely. But how would you explain it to us? No jargon, just simply. Nini epilepsy ni nini?
Okay, basically epilepsy is a neurological condition, meaning that it's a medical condition. People confuse it with being associated with witchcraft, curses, and possession by demons. So basically it is an excess production of electrical discharges in your brain. All our brains produce electrical discharges, and these discharges have to be within a specific limit. So what happens to persons with epilepsy is that at some moment the electrical discharges are produced in excess, and this production in excess leads to the physical movements that you see. So the physical movements are just a physical manifestation of what has happened to the brain, because the brain will electrocute itself because of that excess discharges. And they're divided into two broad groups. The electrical discharges are divided into partial discharges, which are called partial seizures. Then another group is the generalized seizures, which is now, the difference between the partial seizures and the generalized seizures is that a part of the brain has been affected in the partial seizures, but in the generalized seizures, the whole brain has been affected. And in partial seizures, they are again divided into three So we have the simple partial, the complex partial, and the simple, complex, generalized partial. Then we go to the generalized, which have 5 types again. So we have the absent seizures, we have the tonic seizures, we have the clonic seizures, we have the tonic-clonic seizures, we have the juvenile myoclonic jerks, and we have the atonic seizures. So in total, you have a total of 8 types of seizures. People only assume that the massive movements and the tongue bitings and the foaming is the only types of epilepsy. We have 8 types of seizures. So you have to identify the type that you have so that you are given the specific medication for the specific type that you have. Yeah.
So type of medications, and we'll get into treatment later on. Just one type of medication cannot cure epilepsy. Like each type has its own medication. That's what you say?
Yes.
Does seizures and convulsion necessarily mean one has epilepsy?
Yeah, so the seizures is the movement. So it is basically the excessive production of the electrical discharges that will lead you into this movement. And the description of these movements are the ones that are divided into the 8 types. So within these 8 types, the way you behave, that will determine the type of medication we give you. Because there is a medication that if we give you on a certain type, will worsen your situation rather than sorting it. So we have to be very specific with the diagnosis. Any misdiagnosis, wrong medication. Wrong medication, continued seizures. Then you'll have issues where the medications are not working. It's not that they are not working. It is that the diagnosis was not made accurately. Yeah, so accurate diagnosis is very important in the management of epilepsy. Yeah.
How about cases of misdiagnosis? Do you have that a lot when we're talking about epilepsy?
Yes, there are so many cases of misdiagnosis in epilepsy. One, because there is a limited training on how to manage epilepsy. So most of the times you'll go to a health facility, instead of making a diagnosis of epilepsy, you'll find that they'll make some diagnosis of different types of differential diagnoses, which most of the time delay the management of epilepsy. And that is the major factor. And that is why we are training primary healthcare providers on how to make a proper diagnosis and how to manage epilepsy properly, because that has been the major gap. Only 20% of persons with epilepsy are getting managed in our health facilities. And that gap in training also leads to that 80% treatment gap. Yeah.
All right, let's bring in Sylvia now. Sylvia is walking the shoe. She is living with epilepsy. Sylvia, how did you learn that you had epilepsy?
I learned the day I didn't even know that I have epilepsy because someone told me that merogwa. Mamangu alienda kwa watu wengi, mara anaambiwa huyu mtoto wako amerogwa, amefanywa kila kitu. Mwingine anasema mara shosho yake sijui kuna shosho yani vitu mingi zenye alikuwa anaambiwa. Tukatembea mpaka kwa maombi. Kwanza nilikuwa nikienda kwa maombi ndio inakuwa worse. Ni kama sasa ndio nimefungua mlango ya kukuja. Sasa tukakaa until 2019. Since 9 years until 2019.
How old were you?
Huh?
How old were you then?
The day epilepsy started.
Yes.
It was 9 years. So my mother doesn't know that I have epilepsy. My father doesn't know. I went to scanning my head, but there's no anything in my head. I am normal. Even I go to hospital, many hospitals. Nimetembea hospitali mingi, nimeenda mpaka nikapitishwa mpaka Kenyatta, kuna ugonjwa, niko tu normal. Kaambiwa wewe umerogwa, mara uko na mashetani, sijui nini. Yani hivyo ndo nilikuwa mpaka nikakuwa najihurumisha. Kwanza ya masiku hata siku anaweza ongea mimi. Sababu nilikuwa nafikiria mambo mingi sana. Since 9 years nikikuwa tu na epilepsy sikuwa najua until 2019. Someone told my mother kuna hospitali nakuanga inaitwa Kawe na inakuanga nilianzia Karen Hospital. Ndio nikakuja sasa niko huku Rirota. Nikaenda huko wakaniambia huo unafaa umeze, na nilianza naye dawa yenye nilianza nayo ndio ilinisaidia mpaka sahii. Sahii niko sawa na naona epilepsy inaenda ikinene,
inakipungua,
inaenda ikipona. Sahii niko sawa kabisa. Naweza tembea.
Wonderful. Do you
Sikuwa naweza tembea.
Interesting. Do you know what caused your epilepsy? What caused your epilepsy before, of course, we get from the doctor the triggers?
I don't know. It started out of nowhere.
One day you just had
my mother said that alikuwa umerogwa, wewe tu ni ujinga unafanya. Sababu nilikuwa napiga kelele, wenye inakuja ndio hiyo, ikianza naanza kupiga kelele nikisema ndio huyo. Nashinda ndio huyo nani? Muoni, lakini mimi naona. Kwanza nilikuwa nasema tu kichwa nikianza kusema tu kichwa inaniuma. Hapo sasa ndio ninaanza. Nanunuliwa Panadols. Yaani nakuwa ninajiuma, nafanya kila kitu. Mdomo inakuwa tu kujiuma huku, mpaka hata kuna wakati ni give up, nikasema hata afadhali let me die because I'm so tired with the epilepsy. But since I go to Kawe, I started feeling better. So until now niko natembea na mimi hata naweza enda ushago peke yangu, na sikuwa naweza hata enda ushago hata town hapa tu town. Sikuwa najua juu the more nitatembea hivyo, nikianza tu penye itaanzia nowhere nianguka. Sasa my mother alikuwa ananiambia don't go anywhere because maybe tuende nawe kama niko na yeye karibu. Ni kesi ikianza kwa barabara tukue naye. Mimi hata karibu nimeponea vitu mingi sana. Nilianguka kwa sewage. Ndani.
We'll be getting deeper into that, how you're managing, how you've managed the condition so far for, since 9 years old. This is a lot of years, 10 years plus, right? Yes. I believe. But Fred, you are creating awareness around epilepsy. 13 years on, what got you into, awareness creation around epilepsy?
I'm also a caregiver. My sister, her name is Mercy, was diagnosed with epilepsy when she was 2 years old. She's now 20 years and she has been seizure-free for about 8 to 9 years. So that is what actually got me into the space of really wanting to raise awareness. It was out of experiencing what she was going through then. She was experiencing seizures after every 20 minutes. So you can imagine someone getting a seizure after every 20 minutes. She had a lot of injuries all over. And that is what made me to quit a job I was doing in 2012 to actually go home and take care of her. And the minute we were able to get the proper diagnosis, as Daktari has said, and put on the right medication, and when we started to see the seizure frequency, reducing, it sparked something in me. It was more of people having this condition, but because of the gap of knowledge and information, they are not able to take the right steps into, treatment and into care. And because of that gap of information, that is what now created the passion for me to want now to raise awareness, knowing that when people are aware, they are able to take the right steps into treatment, care, and even going to the hospital for diagnosis.
Of course, even as you continue to create awareness around epilepsy, do you find that there's some stigma around epilepsy, or is it being erased now that awareness is being created? And I know we don't talk about epilepsy a lot. Sylvia here says that even her own mother, alikuwa anamwambia amerogwa. So do you feel like we are filling in that gap and just closing in that gap, rather?
Yeah. I think at the moment we are, but this condition is one of those conditions that, I think from onset people have just been knowing it as, or wanting to understand it from a point of it not being a medical condition. I always give an example of how personally I understood epilepsy as, there's this story of Jesus healing a person who had epilepsy, and he says, when Jesus' shadow was cast on this man, the demons of epilepsy left the man. So from when I was also young, my understanding about epilepsy was that it is being caused by demon possession. It was never a medical condition until now, you know, it happens to your loved one, and then you want now to get to understand more. So that misunderstanding is what I think has created a lot of stigma to an extent where you have someone who has a loved one who has epilepsy, but they don't want to come out and say, my loved one has epilepsy and we really need a lot of support for this person. But over time, I think because of the information we've been able to share, I think now people have begun to really get to a point of acceptance if it is a patient or if it is a family member maybe taking care of a person with epilepsy. In schools, we have seen in the past, you will take someone to school the moment you declare that they have a condition like epilepsy, it will be very difficult for them to get an opportunity to actually be in school. Work environments, I have examples of people who have declared on that health record where you have to fill in before you either get interviewed or get a job. And they fear even to make a declaration that they have a health condition. When it is very normal for other conditions, people just write there, I have an allergy of this, I have an allergy of that. But when it comes to epilepsy, they feel once they make a declaration, then they will miss out on that opportunity, you see. So, but over time, I think that has continued to change because of the information that we are sharing.
All right, just hold on to that thought. Let's get some feedback now. Let's hear what viewers are saying this morning. Any questions or feedback, Fred?
Thank you, Anne. And yes, real questions, real conversations about this condition. The question we're asking this morning, we hear powerful stories from people living with epilepsy every day. Under the 2026 theme, Turning Stories into Action, what one action should families, schools, employers, or government take right now to support them? I can see quite a lot of feedback, but people are mostly sharing their experiences. One of them is Sue Otieno at Sue_Otis. She says, a friend had it in high school. At first, it scared us. We were young. Gradually, a community grew around her. Our entire stream knew her medication, timings, triggers, and signs before convulsion. She got us out random canings occasionally. Now she's doing fine, dating and working. Yeah. So quite some positive feedback there.
Right.
Do you have another one? Yes, Maragoli Snack, Anajita at AK_. Most people believe it's a bad omen, but to me, it's better than HIV. Wow, what a comparison. But indeed, it is a serious condition. Anna, the impact at IMP. Anasema alafu imushike tukiwa mwembe tayari, akufe nikifikiria ni urao, inafanya atingike. Anyway, Mungare, at Mungare, Okiro 1. I think I would, if we talk about it, it's good to know if your employee ako nayo, then you know how to handle them if ikuje. Equally pia, kama mna date, ujue what happens, how you'll help them, etc. Society has different people and they deserve to feel part of us. Yeah. Chelsea at Aindepe says stigma is real. Yes, indeed, stigma is real. All right, so these are just some of your experiences and probably may offer an insight into what people, generally the community around those people afflicted by this condition, should be doing. So back to you, Anne, to continue the conversation.
All right, thank you so much, Fred. And we continue with the conversation, epilepsy awareness. TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, TV47 Digital on X. Talk to us, tuambie, what do you want to know about epilepsy as well? Would you hire or even date somebody with epilepsy? We've seen some feedback talking about employment as well. Dating, we've seen a funny comment there, and thank you so much for that light moment there. We're taking a break, but even as we go on this very short break, we do welcome your feedback and we'll be sure to bring them live just for you. Stay with us.
kama ungekuwa strict kwa watoto wako, Fifi would not be in this situation. Oh, so now we're the best.
Ama nisonge kando muendelee kuwana kama wajinga.
I gave you one job, Steve. You're stupid.
Who doesn't want to be around Jackie Matubia?
I'm priceless, trust me.
I don't have to tell you, like, you have to treat me like a boss.
Unadai kubanja na makastoma? Waunganishe na biz yako kwa kutumia InTouch Bulk SMS. Ni instant, reliable na inafanya kazi on all major mobile networks with a 98% read rate. Biz yako ita stand out. Kama ni transactional alerts, promo offers au real-time conversations, tumekusort. InTouch platform inahakikisha SMS zinafika on time every time, na ukihitaji usaidizi, support team iko rada kukuhelp. InTouch Limited. Our touch, your growth.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Morning Café. We are talking about epilepsy this morning. We're trying to create awareness around this neurological disorder that is not talked about as much. We're asking, we hear powerful stories from people living with epilepsy every day under the 2026 theme that is turning stories into action. Now, what one action should families, schools, employers, or government take right now to support them? And of course, I do have a patient in studio, ambassadors and a clinician they'll be answering to this question. What action should we take as a community to, support people living with epilepsy? Nick, we talked about the types of epilepsy that are there, 8 in total. Yes. But now, what are the triggers of epilepsy that we often overlook?
Yeah, so basically the trigger factors of epilepsy are many. And we usually summarize them as anything that will affect your brain function will cause a seizure. So we have things like deprivation of sleep. If you don't have enough sleep, you'll get a seizure. We have things like drug and alcohol abuse, which can lead into a seizure. We have anger. We have hunger, hasira, njaa. We also have missed medications once you're on medication. Some people go for prayers, then they are told that now you are healed and you can stop your medication. You will have a seizure. You continue with your medication until we say now you are okay, and we taper down your medication until we stop the medication. We don't just stop it on your own. We have things like head injuries. We have a simple thing like flu, which can lead you into having a seizure while you are okay. So there are so many triggers for a seizure, and we summarize them as anything that will interfere with your brain function, even stress. Nowadays we have things like mental issues, and people are getting into depressions. Those can also lead into seizures. So there's a very wide variety on triggers of a seizure. Yeah, so the most important thing is identify what triggers your seizure. Then you can easily manage your seizure once you identify what brings it. Because all these triggers act differently to different persons. Yeah.
Who gets epilepsy? For Sylvia here, it started at 9 years old.
Yes.
For Fred, their sister, it started around 2 years old.
Yes.
So who gets epilepsy?
So basically, epilepsy can get anyone at any age and at any time. People usually assume that epilepsy, people are born with epilepsy. That is an assumption. Some people think that it's genetic. It's not all epilepsy is genetic. So you can have, we always divide them into 3 causes of epilepsy. We have the prenatal causes. The prenatal causes are causes that happen when the fetus is still in the mother's womb. You can have things like infections. You can have things like trauma, abdominal trauma during pregnancy. The reason why we always insist on persons who are pregnant to go to ANC clinics is to ensure that there is follow-up of that fetus when in the uterus, so that we make sure that the mother is okay and the child is okay. Then we have the natal causes. The natal causes are the causes that happen during the process of delivery. We insist on 100% hospital delivery because we know that in the hospital there will be close monitoring of your labor process. If you're getting into prolonged labor, the right decisions will be made. You can either go for a CS or they have their assisted delivery processes. If you are going into labor, there's a nurse there who will avoid the process from getting into the danger zone where a fetus comes out and accidentally falls down, because that can also lead into a seizure. So basically, in the natal period, we are ensuring that the delivery process is as safe as possible. Then after that, we go to the postnatal causes. The postnatal causes are now the causes that happen after the child has been delivered. You have things like immunization. The reason why we do immunization is to make sure that you don't get conditions like meningitis, we don't get issues like malaria, which can also lead into seizures. We also have causes like road traffic accidents. We also have head injuries. We also have drugs that were not used properly. We'll give you medications that can lead you into seizures. So there is a very wide cause. I can be okay today, but tomorrow we meet and I'm having seizures. And this category, the causes are also categorized into three. We have the symptomatic seizures. The symptomatic seizures are the ones that the cause of your epilepsy has been clearly identified. You were sick at some point. Let's assume you had meningitis at some point. You went to a facility, you got healed, but you had seizures after the treatment was done. You got into a road traffic accident. After that, you went into ICU for some time, you got treated, but coming out, you had seizures. Those are identified causes. Then we have the cryptogenic. The cryptogenic is where now there is the idea of what might have caused it, but we cannot really pin that cause. We cannot say that this is the exact thing that caused it, but it's something that happened that is related to your seizures, but was not confirmed. Then we have the most common is the one that nobody knows how it came, idiopathic causes. Idiopathic is like what she's talking about. It just happened. You can't identify the cause. You can't even have a clue of how it came. And 70% of our patients fall under that category, the idiopathic cause. So most of our patients cannot really identify how it started and what caused it.
All right. Fred, we're talking about three general causes: cryptogenic, asymptogenic, and idiopathic.
We have idiopathic, known cause. Cryptogenic, there is an idea of the cause. Then symptomatic, we are sure that this is the cause.
All right. Is this why they call epilepsy an invisible disability? Do you agree that it is actually an invisible disability?
Yes, to some extent, yes. The invisibility part of it comes from a point of some of the patients might not really have like clear signs or visible signs that they are sick. I think during the break I just mentioned, apart from my sister, my wife also has epilepsy. But if she walks in here, you might try and start to find out where is the sickness.
Was she born with it?
She wasn't born with it, but when she was in primary school, that's when it started. And it falls on that category of idiopathic because we cannot fully figure out what really caused it. For my sister, we can, because when she was born 2 weeks later, she got malaria and she suffered from cerebral malaria. And cerebral malaria affected her brain. And when it was treated, it had already affected her brain, so it put her at a risk of getting epilepsy, and that is where it really started. So without the injuries that are caused by, the seizures and everything else, if a person walks in here and they have epilepsy, it might not really show. And that's why it is categorized as a disability. Also, it is categorized as a non-communicable disease, you see. So the idea that it can be passed from one person to the other.
The fluids.
Exactly. That's another whole misconception that we have about epilepsy. To an extent, when someone gets a seizure, you see people running, they don't want to touch them because they feel like if they touch them, maybe they will also get the seizure or something. Or if someone has epilepsy, they get married and they have a child, you know, they think of the high chances of that child also getting epilepsy, which is not the case. Yes.
All right. Sylvia, do you feel stigmatized in this day and age?
Nowadays,
Yes.
no.
Are you still under medication?
Yes, but I still
Unaweza ongea tu Kiswahili.
sahi kutoka nianze medication kufuatilia dawa nini na nini, sasa niko sawa. Naweza tembea, yani niko sawa, si kama vile nilikuwa hapo nyuma. Yes. Niko shule unasikia tu nimeanguka. Nilikuwa naanguka hata kwa mwezi mara 3 ama yani kama wiki nimeanguka, ile wiki nyingine sitaanguka, ile yani mara 3 yani ilikuanga tu hivyo. Ama saa nyingine kuja tu ni wiki mzima nitaanguka, nianguke. Na kuna sasa unapata wanafanya sasa, unajua shule yenye nilikuwa nasoma, nilikuwa Nairobi, nasomea Nairobi, nika-transfer kwenda Ushago nimalizie shule huko. Sasa ya Ushago nao wanasema ati huyu atatuambukiza ugonjwa, nika-feel sasa niko weird sana, mpaka nikamwambia shosh, hata afadhali mngeacha juu hata Nairobi waliambia mamangu achini mtoto amalizie huku juu ako na condition, na huku unajua ukienda Ushago ni nini ingine tena wakaanza kusema mimi nilikuwa natengwa kando na wengine by the way, because mtu anasema ati nikikushika ati ndagonjeka hiyo kifafa yako. Kwanza sema kifafa tagonjeka. Sasa mimi nashindwa sasa kifafa, na nasikianga kifafa mpaka ukunywe maziwa ndio sijui ukojoe, na mimi sikuwa nafanya hivyo. Nashindwa sasa, mimi nashindwa ugonjwa ilitoka wapi. Nasikia yani nilisikia mambo mingi mpaka wengi walinitenga Ushago. Wengi walinitenga.
Na sai?
But sasa venye nilirudi huko sasa niko sawa, mtu anakuja anamwambia mimi si ulisema mimi niko hivi la. Sasa unaona mimi nilipona. Hata waamini. Nikamwambia ni ugonjwa kama wengine. So hii kitu inakuanga ya kusaidiana. Ukiwa mgonjwa unasaidia. Hata mimi nimekuwa na watu wenye wako na epilepsy, hata nimekuwa caregiver. Because I was in college. That college nilikuwa na watu wawili, walikuwa tuko wote tunakaa room moja, tuko na epilepsy. So mimi ndo nimekuwa caregiver kwa hao sana, cause hao mwingine baridi ikiwa ni stress.
Yes.
Mwingine akishika maji baridi ni stress. Ikakuwa tu sasa mimi ndo naitwa caregiver, sababu mimi ndo niko nao kwa room. Kila wakati wakianguka mimi hata sitalala. Hiyo siku kwanza kulikuwa na mwingine alikuwa anaitwa Evelyn. In case kwetu amekasirika, nitashinda hiyo the whole night niko tu caregiver mpaka asubuhi. Kuna mwingine anaitwa Vivian, tena nimekuwa caregiver wake. Nilikuwa nikitembea hata saa hii nikitembea naye na kuanga kama caregiver, because yeye yake akikasirika na kuanga mtu mbaya sana. Akikasirika tu hivyo ni kuanguka. Kila wakati ni kuanguka. So inabidi sasa ni kama nikaa mimi sasa ndio caregiver. Ni rafiki yangu ndio, lakini every time nikiwa tunaye mimi ndio caregiver. Kuanguka hata kwa room walikuwa naanguka. Hata ndio hapa ndio nilijuanga handle mtu wa epilepsy. Wewe tunaenda mafunzo, wakina daktari anatambia inapofanya hivi mtu akianguka hivi na hivi. But hapo mwanzo nilikuwa hata mimi mwenyewe nastuka. Nitaanzia wapi? Sababu ameanguka. Nastuka kabisa, roho inaenda. Hata ukisaidia hiyo unakuja na mimi natetemeka. Sasa nashindwa nitaanza kukusaidia aje. Mimi mwenyewe nimestuka. Hata ukiniita, hata unaweza niita nistuke ni kama naanguka. Ukiniuliza ni nini? Nikwambia hakuna.
Washa daktari atufunze pia, how do we handle now people who have, seizures and convulsions, especially caused by epilepsy, now that you're talking about epilepsy, and just how we can handle kids and adults? Do we handle them the same now that even medication is different for each type? How do we handle an epilepsy attack?
Yeah, so basically, whatever she has said is happening to a lot of people. First, the persons with epilepsy are not as accepted within the community. So, and the lack of acceptance in the community is mostly brought by the stigma they are talking about. Nikimshika nitapata kifafa, nikiguza akipitisha hewa hapo nitapata kifafa, the fluids zenye wanatoa zitanipea kifafa. That assumptions leads people to mostly run when a person has a seizure. And when they run, these people will get injuries, not because of the seizure. They'll get injuries because of the response of the people around them. Because one, let's assume they are in an enclosed room. The person has a seizure close to the door. What will happen? These people will panic. Once they panic, they'll be running away. They'll be running away and stepping on the person who is on the ground.
Yeah.
So the injuries are not from the seizure. The injuries are from the reaction of the people who are there.
Yeah.
So first we usually say that stay calm once a person has a seizure. That calmness will allow you even to think. Once everybody is calm, the chaos will be reduced. Then the second thing is ensuring that there is safety of first you as the person who is seeing the patient and the patient himself. And safety means that if there are things that can cause injuries to the patients, you remove them. And seizures are timed. Any seizure that goes above 5 minutes is an emergency, so that will need medical attention. Any seizure below 5 minutes is okay. So you the only things that you need to do is first ensure that if they are wearing a tie, they are wearing a belt, or they are wearing tight clothing, you loosen the tight clothing and you loosen the belts. If they have glasses on, you remove the glasses to prevent the glass from breaking and saving their eyes from injuries. Then from there, you ensure that there is safety of the head. Most of them during a seizure, there is that forced movement, and most of them will bang their head on the floor. So the first thing is to ensure that that head is protected. And how do you protect that head? I'm wearing a shirt, he's wearing a hood. So I'll not start looking for a pillow. We are at the road. You can't find a pillow. So use what you have at that moment to protect that head. If he's carrying a bag, that is what you will put under that head to ensure that that head is not banging the ground. Then after ensuring that head is safe, you allow the process to continue. Most people will try to stop the process from continuing. You'll try to carry them. The process, the moment you're trying to carry them, they are stronger. These movements are uncontrolled. So you might get an injury while trying to move them. So don't move them, just ensure that the process continues. Don't give them anything. Most people will rush into putting spoons in their mouth.
Yes.
You are not supposed to put anything in their mouth. The assumption is that when you're putting a spoon, you're protecting them from biting their tongue. Yeah, so the tongue is in the buccal cavity. It has its own space. So the moment you try to put a spoon or a stick there, you are causing injury to this jaw. Consider that that movement is uncontrolled, and you are putting a negative force to a force that is already there. You'll either break this jaw, or by the time you get that spoon, the tongue bite has already happened. So just don't put anything, don't give them medication during a seizure. Some people will remember that this guy was on medication during a seizure, and that is when they want to give them medication. Don't give them at that moment. Don't give them anything to drink. Some people splash water on them, don't. Some people will even put spirits in their nose, and you are trying to wake them up. You are causing more injury. At that moment, they need to breathe. So when you're putting these things, you're interfering with their breathing. Yeah, so allow the process to continue. The process will last for about 2 to 3 minutes. After the process has stopped, put them in recovery position. Recovery position means that you put them by their side, and when you put them by their side, you need a head tilt. You tilt it higher kidogo, so that they can continue breathing while they are lying on their side.
Yes.
On lying on their side, this hand, you put it on the lower cheek so that they continue breathing. The whole idea is that in case there are fluids that are coming, vomiters, foam or anything, it doesn't go back. Because when it goes back, it might lead to choking. So when they are on that side and you've tilted the head up, they are breathing. Then there's the risk of they are on the side. They might slip through their abdomen so that the face will face downwards. So to prevent that from happening, they are on their side, the lower foot is flat on the ground. Then the higher foot, you put it at an angle of 90 degrees. The reason for that 90 degrees angle is to make sure that when they are trying to roll on their stomach, the knee hits the floor so that they cannot turn on their stomach. The whole idea is to make sure that they are breathing all through. Once the whole process happens, they will wake up. they are still confused. They are not aware of what happened. Consider when the seizure started, the brain went on a shutdown.
Yeah.
So nothing is recorded through that. Even them, they will not understand what happened.
Oh, wow. So they do not remember what happened?
They don't remember anything. Some of them will only remember it through the injuries that they have. But the whole process is not recorded anywhere in their brain. So you'll have to explain to them what happened. After explaining to them what happened, most of them will now recall on what has been happening, and they'll even tell you that I'm on medication. Then you don't just leave them like that. Ensure them that you hand them over to a person responsible. Either they have a phone, you make a phone call to a person who might come and continue them with their journey after the recovery has happened. The reason for this is the seizure can come again. That whole process is to everyone, both adults and children. It is the basic first aid for everyone. And once the community understands that simple first aid, because you don't need to go to any school for that process, they will be able to embrace these people. And these people will even be allowed in schools, they will be allowed in workplaces, and they will even be allowed in religious places. Because most people run and they are chased from workplaces because people don't know what to do in case a seizure happens.
All right, let's hear what the people are saying now. Fred, a lot of education here and awareness about epilepsy. Tusikie watu wanatuambia nini?
It's indeed quite an eye-opener on what to do in such a situation, because we still continue this conversation. We hear powerful stories from people living with epilepsy every day. Under the 2026 theme, Turning Stories into Action, what one action should families, schools, employers, or government take right now to support them? And I think the clinician has explained quite a lot there. Let's see what people are saying online. East African Community Investment here says, nani kama amepotea, but yes, very comfortable. You do know that most cases can be well controlled with medicine. I have patients who have gone years without an epileptic episode. It's about early diagnosis and treatment. Thank you for that. Billy Omondi at Billy Omondi says, tricky sana bana. It's the hard fact. Tricky sana. Mongare at Mongare Okirowan says, I think I would if we talk about it. It's good. You would do what? Probably date them.
Yes.
It's good to know if your employee, date, employ. It's good to know if your employee ako nayo, then you know how to handle them if ikuje. Equally pia kama mna date, ujue what happens, how you'll help them, etc. Society has different people and they deserve to feel part of us. Yes, indeed. So what one action would you recommend for this? And thank you so much to the clinician for telling us more. Back to you, Anne.
All right. What is the cost of treatment, Fred?
Yeah, the cost of treatment for epilepsy, I would say it varies, of course, from the type. But it goes as far as other treatment parts being very expensive. I would always give reference to the journey I have walked with my sister. At some point, the cost of treatment with the medication that she was using was a little bit expensive. But you see, if the doctor has said this is what works for the patient, you have very little options to really either want to see that it is reduced. I think Dr. will agree with me that the goal for treatment of epilepsy is to make sure that there is a reduction of seizures, and so this person is able to live a normal life without the fear of I'll get a seizure when I go out there. So sometimes when the recommendation is this particular medicine that works for you, you really have very little options. But I also understand that there are types where it is not very expensive to treat. And I think from where Daktari comes from, they have really tried to give very subsidized priced medication that works for the majority. I don't know, but there's also a connection of...
By subsidized, how much are we talking about?
Well, I think we have medication that goes even for a tablet at 5 shillings or 2 shillings. Yes, so depending again with the type. I was I wanted to bring up the point of there is this connection of, you know, poverty and epilepsy, because you look at so many cases again, people are coming from very lower income kind of households. And so you can't always recommend medication that is very expensive, because that will be more of telling them now you can't get any help from this. So the good thing is we have those differences in terms of the treatment. But the treatment in itself is not only based also on the medication. I would say there's a lot that comes with the journey of treatment from a family that is also concerned and a family that is ready to support the journey. There is also counseling that comes into play as well. Sometimes you have a patient who has the right medication, but they feel so burdened with taking that medication every day and they stop. So you have a medication that works, but this person has refused to take. So they need to be supported also psychologically, socially, and the family to also be there to walk with them that journey, because you are not sure for how long this person is going to take. Just like any other chronic illnesses, people get so tired at some point, even as a caregiver. Actually, talking from a point of a caregiver, at some point, because I'm from Mombasa, we started the Epilepsy Awareness Resource Center, where we are giving caregivers an opportunity to come and share their challenges, and looking at the social care for the caregivers as well. Because sometimes they get so immersed into taking care of this patient, to an extent they forget about themselves. And if a caregiver is not well off psychologically, mentally, then taking care of a person who has a chronic illness becomes very difficult. I think maybe Sylvia can attest to that, of how the mother was really viewing it, and how, you know, she, at some point it becomes very difficult. You want to support this person, you don't know for how long. Every day you wake up, you've forgotten about even your social life, and that poses the challenge so much.
Sylvia, how is your dating life as we conclude this conversation? Kazi, umedate na kazi pia.
Valentine.
Yes, Valentine is around the corner. Unajua Valentine is Saturday. Talk to us about your dating life as somebody who has lived with epilepsy.
You know, I date someone. So the day I told him that I have epilepsy, she told me, so what do you want me to do if you have epilepsy? I told him, if you want to support me, I will be with you. And if you don't want, let me be, because I have epilepsy and I don't know what to do. Kama unataka kunisupport, kuwa na mimi, nitakuwa na wewe bumper to bumper. Lakini kama utaki, sasa unajua huyu aliniuliza swali aje yenye ilinipona, nikamtusi hata nikaachana tu, hata ilikuwa sikio ananiuliza aje. Sasa tukiwa kwa kitanda ikianza, nikamwambia yani hiyo ndio unaweza niuliza, badala uniulize venye tunaweza unisaidie, hata kama mimi kupona nipone, hata kama utanisupport na dawa, juu dawa nanunua ati na narokota, ni pesa nanunua. Nilimwambia hata hiyo siku ndio aliniudhi na akaniudhi kabisa, na nikakata, nikamwambia mimi na wewe hatuwezi.
Sasa dating ni ngumu,
ikaishi hapo. So nikakuwa tena ikafika mahali hata nikakuwa tu na wengine tena, ukiambia mambo na epilepsy wanakukata, wanakuacha tu pole pole, hata wakuongeleshi wanakuacha. But say I have someone also, she have epilepsy like me. She know how I feel, she care about me, hata yeye anajua about epilepsy, sababu hata yeye alikuwa ako na epilepsy, si ati mtu mwenye ana epilepsy. Nilisema acha nichague mwenye ako na ugonjwa kama yangu, so ajue kashida ikitokea tunasaidiana aje, mimi naweza msaidia, yeye anaweza nisaidia, juu hata yeye anaenda akipona. Anasema so huyo tunapelekana naye vizuri. Hata if I have a stress anajua. Nikiwa na shida hata mwenyewe anajuanga, ananiambia tu wewe uko poa. Na nampenda venye yako. Hata naomba Mungu tufike mbali, kama ni Mungu alisema yeye tutakaa naye.
Yes. Happy Valentine's, Sylvia. Happy Valentine's. But actually now I want to pose the question of the day to you guys, so you can tell us how, of course, as community we can come in to support. The theme 2026, turning stories into action. What one action should families, schools, employers or government take right now to support people living with epilepsy?
The major issue with persons with epilepsy is stigma. So the most important thing is to accept persons with epilepsy within the community. Once the awareness is there that epilepsy is a medical condition, these people will come to the health facilities. Once they come to the health facilities, we also don't want them to come to health facilities where they cannot get help. So we do train primary healthcare providers on management of epilepsy. The reason why I'm mentioning primary healthcare providers is because epilepsy has been believed to be a very expensive disease to treat. Because anytime you mention epilepsy in the lower levels, the first thing is referral, which is not usually the case. If you refer a patient, chances are that they will not go to that referral center. One, they might not have the fare to get them there. Two, the consultation fee might be too high. And there is a local traditional healer down here who will only request for chicken. They will opt for that. So first thing is we train primary healthcare providers so that persons with epilepsy can get the treatment they require at the lowest health facility possible. So once that is done, we will reduce the treatment gap, because medications for epilepsy are as cheap as 2 shillings. But because of the assumption that it's expensive, most people will not get the treatment they need. And the stigma and the misconceptions that are there also, once we clear them and we demystify them, these people understand that they are not cursed, they are not demon possessed, and you will not get epilepsy by touching them. She's talked about now she's dating a person who also has epilepsy, because they understand each other. Once that happens, you see they can live their life just like any other person with the community. We are not saying that person with epilepsy will only get into relationship with persons with epilepsy. A person with epilepsy is allowed to marry or get married to a person with or without epilepsy. What he has not told you is that he's also in a relationship where the partner has epilepsy, and they are okay with it. So it is not transmitted from a person to person. And it's not a must that when a person has epilepsy, their children will have epilepsy.
All right. Now, as a caregiver, of course, because Dr. has talked about a lot of things, how we can, as community, support people living with epilepsy, but as a caregiver, how can we now support caregivers?
Well, we talk about care for caregivers, and we emphasize on caregivers putting themselves on the forefront in terms of making sure that they also care for themselves. So you are taking care of a person, but you also prioritize yourself in making sure that mentally, physically, psychologically, you are also fit to help this person. Otherwise, if you are not okay, then it will be very difficult for you to walk this journey with this person.
All right. Asanteni sana. That is Fred Beuchi, Epilepsy Awareness Ambassador. Sylvia Kadenyi, our patient, anatuambia how, you know, living with epilepsy looks and feels like. And of course, Nicholas Utieno, a clinician from the Kenya Association for People Living with Epilepsy. We have learned a lot, and I hope our viewers, of course, at home have learned a thing or two about epilepsy. Keep talking to us, speaking to us on social media, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. Tuambie, what do you think? And we can, of course, continue this conversation. We are telling you, we hear powerful stories from people living with epilepsy every day. Under the 2026 theme, turning stories into action.
Yes.
What action should families, schools, employers, or government take right now to support them?
Quite an eye-opener.
Absolutely. What myth have you heard about epilepsy, Fred?
There's something I've learned from the clinician. Because back in school, we had one of our colleagues in class who had this condition. And whenever he had a seizure, we made those attempts to actually put stuff in their mouth, like a piece of wood or geometrical set or something just to stop them.
Yeah.
It was a very scary time. But later, we came to find out, but we never understood. But listening to the clinician today, I've understood it properly.
Now, mine is crazy because I actually have a friend who had epilepsy or who has epilepsy. Mimi niliambiwa, it can be transferred from one person to another. You have to swallow a stone.
Wow.
Can you imagine growing up? So it's crazy about, conversation around epilepsy. Let's continue this conversation. TV47 Kenya on Facebook once again.
TV47 digital.
Kenya, yes.
Digital on X. And of course, make sure you tag us.
Yes.
The hashtag is Morning Café TV47 on X at Freddy Ndemuli.
All right, my handle is at @Dida. Once again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for making time. Happy New Year and happy Valentine's.
Yes, indeed, conversations that matter. Let's do this again tomorrow morning. My name is Freddy Ndemuli.
Absolutely.
Good morning.